Hi there, I'm Blackbright, broadcasting out the UK. Welcome to my channel. I'm a bit busy today, so I'm churning them out as I do sometimes. Sometimes I go quiet, sometimes I come back with some passion. So today is that day that I have a few topics to talk about and I want to get them out to you. So if you want to subscribe, you can. Put the thumbs up, thumbs down, whatever you wish. I wanted to talk a bit about the immigration office, the Home Office, and their relationship with immigration lawyers. I think it's getting a bit tense. I mean, the lawyers are there, immigration lawyers are there to uphold the law, to make sure everything is fair and just. And the immigration or the Home Office is trying to get rid of people on the quiet. And the lawyers are frustrating that process. When I say they're trying to shove people off, I'm talking about the refugees. Um, Apparently immigration lawyers are not allowing them to just ship them back without it being challenged. So that is what I'm going to do. I need to look at my notes for this one because it's not my area of expertise. So basically, they're being called activist lawyers, apparently. And activist lawyers seem to be those who are preventing the Home Office from abusing their power. I've put it in that way because if the lawyers don't intervene, the Home Office are going, oh, I don't know whether it's an R or an is, I think it's an is. The Home Office is going to just not deal with applications in a timely manner. They'll ship off refugees or asylum seekers without allowing them to access their rights and stuff like that. So, Priti Patel suggests that some lawyers are aggravating the method of deporting refugees. But immigration lawyers, that's their job. They're supposed to be looking to protect their clients. So doesn't that mean upholding their clients' right to life and rule of law? You would think so, wouldn't you? But I think that's a problem with the Home Office. I think once you've reached the Home Office and you're deemed to be illegal, undocumented and all of that, as far as they're concerned, you don't have no rights. And the law doesn't apply to you. But there is a Article 31 and they've got other rules that apply to individuals, whether they're legally in the country or not. But they give the impression that if you're illegal, you don't have any rights, but you do. So anyway, and that is where the lawyers come in to protect those rights. We don't know about them as laypersons, but people do have rights, whether they're legally in the country or not. So, Priti Patel is blaming the French counterparts for not doing their job, enabling refugees to cross the channel. So, apparently, refugees, I think it was about 202 of them, came on the 31st of July, which was just last week, and came across the channel and landed on the UK soil. Interestingly enough, though, they blocked out their faces. Now, why would they do that? I bet if they were black faces, we'd see them. Or if they were faces of colour, we would definitely see them. Because I have never known the media to block out faces of illegal immigrants. They normally brandish it all over the newspapers. So I don't know who these people are who have come on the boats, but I could see that they had straight hair, but their faces were all blotched out. So I don't know what nationality. Well, they're obviously white, because otherwise they would have shown us their faces. They love doing that. Yeah, tell me, I've got a chip on my shoulder. Maybe I have. But we can only go through historical information. When have you ever seen them show immigrants who are crossing the border and they've blocked out their faces? You don't see it. You see all these black faces, or you see all these Asian or Syrian looking faces, or Mediterranean, I shouldn't say Syrian looking faces, but Mediterranean looking people. You see those with their faces broad all over the front page. But this group, oh no, they've blocked out their faces, and they've blocked it out for a reason. So, let me see what I've got here. It's interesting because the other day I saw these, they reckon there was 5 illegal immigrants that had crossed the border or something. And yet, they're showing the image that they've got depicting this story is not the 5 immigrants, it's a whole group of them. So once again, what is it doing? What is it telling you? It's not focusing on actual facts. They want to give the impression, not of the 5 immigrants, but the influx of immigration, influx of illegal immigrants. So they show you a stream of people when they're talking about 5. Where did this stream of people come from? Why are they in the photograph? If you're reporting accurately, why are you putting a stream of unrelated people in the picture? Oh, I tell you something, mate. Some of these media outlets need a little smack on the bum. Anyway, let me see what else I've got here. Home Office suggests that immigration laws are hindering its attempts to remove migrants and refugees, undocumented migrants and refugees. But some of these people do have a legal right, and that is why lawyers are hired. Could this be why the Home Office have a bee in their bonnet about lawyers and do their best to eliminate them from the process, the immigration process, by introducing online application forums so that no middleman is required? Could be. Because can you imagine those people who think, oh yeah, it's really easy, I'm going to do it online, I don't need to pay for an immigration lawyer. They go online and I don't think you get a second chance, and you mess up, you've lost your money. So sometimes these lawyers are expensive, but they should, all things being equal, make sure your documentation is correct before they submit it. So, but as it stands now, there's a blanket process for all asylum seekers and all refugees. You know, they do have certain rights, but they just scoop them up. They just scoop them up at the shore and they bung them in some detention centre. Those asylum seekers don't even get an opportunity to even say, oh, what's happened to them. It's not like they can say, oh, you know. And plus, they don't even know which country they've come from. How do they know which country they've come from? Remember, when they're coming over, they're stopping all over the place. They're not just coming straight from goodness knows where to the UK. They're probably stopping at all the safe routes on route. But the problem is that technically, if you're a refugee or an asylum seeker, you are supposed to stop off at the first safe route. You're not supposed to be bypassing safe routes to come to the UK. That's not how it's supposed to happen. And that's probably why they're treated the way they are. So Boris Johnson states that refugees who enter the UK illegally will be treated as illegal migrants. But Article 31 of the UN Refugee Convention states that refugees cannot be penalised for entering the country illegally to claim asylum if they are coming directly from a territory where their life or freedom was threatened, provided they present themselves without delay to the authorities and show good cause for their illegal entry or presence. Now, how the hell do they get a chance to do all of that? They don't even bloody put their foot down. And they're all scooped up. So I don't see how they can present themselves to anyone and state their case. So, let me see. And if they're coming from France, they're not entitled to asylum in the UK. But the suggestion is that they're coming from France. And I think that's a deliberate suggestion, because if they're coming from France, the UK doesn't have to offer them asylum. But some of these people are coming via France, but that's not their original country. But once they arrive here, they're not given a chance to say, oh, where's your original country? A lot of them don't have any paperwork on them or immigration papers. They could come from anywhere. So the UK Border Force, they ain't got time to be asking questions and saying, look, which country are you from? And, wondering whether or not they're speaking the truth. Majority of them probably aren't speaking English. But why have these laws in place if that's the case? If you can't do it properly and by the law or by the rule, why do you have those laws in place? if you're not abiding by them, because they're not abiding by them. And that is why immigration lawyers are coming. And that is why Priti Patel is saying that they're frustrating the system and preventing them from deporting asylum seekers because they're not following their own laws. Oh dear, what are we going to do about them, eh? What are we going to do? In 1999, a judge ruled that some element of choice is open to refugees as to where they may properly claim asylum, and that any merely short-term stopover en route to another country should not forfeit the individual's right to claim refuge status elsewhere, which means people who enter the UK by illegal means can legitimately make a claim for asylum even after passing through other safe countries, provided they do so directly after arriving. But how do they do that? I'm sure half of these people, they probably, I don't know, well, maybe it's a stereotype, but I wonder if they do speak English. But how do they get the opportunity? It's not like they're asylum seekers. They reach the border, whichever border they're at. They land on UK soil and they can say, okay, I'm off to the immigration office and I'm going to state my case. They don't get a chance to do that. So how are they supposed to do that? Or do they wait until they're put into these detention centres and that's what they're supposed to do it from there? I don't it doesn't seem as though it doesn't make sense to me, because they're preventing them from getting their feet on the soil in the first place, wherever they can. So, if the harmless and lawful route for refugees to enter the UK, what is the harmless and lawful route for refugees to enter into the UK? Refugees can be resettled in the UK under the Gateway Protection Programme, the Mandate Scheme, the Vulnerable Children's Resettlement Scheme, or the Syrian Vulnerable Persons Resettlement Scheme. And I don't know if they're supposed to do that from the country that they're in. I don't know. According to the Red Cross, refugees have a right under UK and international law to bring their immediate family members to join them, and they help refugees to do that. So why does the UK then have a law permitting them, but yet have challenges associated with it? It doesn't make sense, because they're making it look like to us, the public, that these asylum seekers don't have a right to be in the country and that they're coming here illegally and they're doing all this and that. And yet they're not letting us know the true situation, that they are entitled to seek asylum. And there is a process that they're supposed to go through. And that is why immigration lawyers are getting involved, because there's a law out there and it's not being followed. And immigration lawyers love that. They love to find out what you're not doing right. They look for all those little loopholes. And if you're not doing things by the book, which the Home Office and Immigration Border Force sometimes is not, they're going to go in there with all their technical expertise and they're going to pull it apart. And then what happens? You end up keeping extra people that you probably didn't have to if you'd done it properly in the first place. So, immigration lawyers are important for fair treatment and justice. It is important to ascertain whether the refugees or asylum seekers have been abused. If they have, wouldn't that put a strain on our healthcare system? Well, the thing is that they can't access the healthcare system. There is a phrase that they say they can use, whether you're legal or illegal, you can use the primary care system. Now, that gives a lot of people who are not quite sure what the primary care system is, it gives the impression that they are allowed to use healthcare services, but that's not really what it means. What it means is that you can register with a GP. That doesn't mean they're going to give you access to any services, but you're on the books. They can monitor. They know you're in the country. So whether you're legal or illegal, you can do that. You have a right to do that. Now, where it's secondary care, you need to be more interested in, and illegal immigrants and um, what they call them, refused asylum seekers, they can't access primary care unless, it's a real emergency. Then they'll deal with that. And certain kinds of healthcare they may do and may offer it free of charge. But there are lots of exemptions, and it's knowing what those are. That's what lawyers are for. That's what's going to let somebody know whether or not, number one, you are entitled to enter the country. Number two, whether or not you're entitled to stay, whether or not it's an en route process, or whether or not you have to leave immediately. So registering with primary care, there's no access necessarily to emergency care, which I said, or treatment, and that applies to refused asylum seekers and other patients regardless of immigration status. Refused asylum seekers and undocumented migrants may not be able to access secondary care, which is hospital and community care, e.g., like if they wanted cataract operations, urgent or emergency care. So they're not necessarily even going to get emergency or urgent care. All refugees and asylum seekers with an active application or appeal are fully entitled to secondary care free of charge. So if you've come in as an asylum seeker or a refugee, you've got that far and you've got an application going through, then you can appeal. Then you can access secondary care free of charge. In England, Wales, Scotland and Wales, immigration and residency status have no bearing on a patient's entitlement to register with a GP practice, which I've said before. The only purpose that serves is that they know who's on their books, they know who's in the country, and they know where you are. Lawyers can do their best, but in this climate, there are no guarantees anymore. Immigration lawyers could be seen as frustrating the process by interfering with the judge's decision to ban Shamima Begum, the girl who was born in the UK but left UK age 15 to engage in what is claimed to be a terrorist activity. She is now stateless, being unable to secure Bangladeshi nationality, and the country is not. No country is allowed to make an individual deliberately stateless, which is what the UK government has done in this case, by revoking her British citizenship. So immigration lawyers who believe fairness and justice must outweigh national security concerns know what the rule of law is and are fighting for Shamima Begum's right to enter the UK to appeal. This is an example of why the Home Office could be peed off with them and see them as a hindrance. As at 16th of July, judges are still facing challenges over denying Shamima Begum, who is now 20 years old, so this happened 5 years ago, access to a fair trial. So, what else have we got here? Yeah, what I was saying is that when they're trying to get, for people who think that they can bypass immigration lawyers, and they think it's pretty straightforward. It's like, say, for example, the spouse visa. It's not a straightforward thing. You might think, okay, I got married to so-and-so and it's fine. I just have to renew my visa. I don't need any help with that. I don't need a lawyer to help me renew my application. I got through it once, and as far as I'm concerned, I'm just updating them. But it isn't that easy when you renew, because the genuineness of your marriage or civil partnership will be heavily scrutinized. Do you remember that film Green Card? They do it a bit differently, but they do separate both parties, and they ask you things that you would not believe they're going to ask in separate rooms. You would have had to have lived together for 2 years before your first visa application. And by living together, you can't just say, oh, I lived with them for 2 years. Some people might just put on the form, live together for 2 years, and that's it. And yes, that will go through. But what they will do afterwards, they'll ask you to justify and confirm and see what documentation you have to prove you were together for 2 years. And that's like joint bank accounts. You need both names on the mortgage, both names on the lease, both names on bills, both names on council tax, proof of financial support for kids, because if you've got children, you might not have an order to have to pay child support, but they want to see that you're putting money into account for your children. They don't say that, but that is well, depending, that could be one of the challenges you might face if you haven't. So you have to make sure that you're doing everything properly. You'll need holiday photos, family photos. You need to have access to them. Social media. I mean, most people on social media. Are you both included on social media? Are you writing to each other? Are you putting photographs of each other on social media? Things like that. And are you both still living together as a couple? Oh, yeah, you're filing and saying you are, but are you actually? You need to be still together, still happily married, and both living as a couple. So a solicitor. So when you're thinking about, I don't need a solicitor to get a spouse visa, a solicitor will let you know these kind of things beforehand. Whereas if you try to complete the form yourself with insufficient literacy or IT skills and little or no knowledge about what is expected of you, you may experience complications and lose your money. Solicitors are expensive. They have different routes to immigration, and they've studied for this. So, whereas what you might put on that form as a applicant, you might see something that says, are you the applicant? Are you a friend? Are you an attorney or a lawyer? And each one has a different aspect of the form to complete. So it might not be that straightforward. So we can understand why immigration offices peed off with lawyers, but lawyers are doing their job, which is to protect people who don't know their legal rights. And a lot of us don't. It's a minefield. Law, whether it's immigration, business law, company law, private client, litigation, whatever law it is, it's a minefield. And what we don't know, but what lawyers know, which are the loopholes to get people through the door, is why you pay them so much money. So I really wish they weren't so expensive. I really do, because there's a lot of people who need their help and just can't afford it. And because of that, they are compromised, and their stay in the country is compromised, and their well-being is compromised because they just can't afford a lawyer. But yeah, I don't want to babble on. People have been telling me my videos are too long, so let me stop it here. I can't help it though. I'm a woman. Bye-bye.